All right, welcome class. Today we're going to talk about the topic 10, equations of circles. So make sure you get your notes out that look something like this so that you can follow along and record. So we're going to talk about standard form of a circle. Well, a circle we know has a center. We're going to call that center HK. Just hypothetically, we don't know what it is. And we're going to say there's a point on the circle called XY. Now, if we think about, we know that the distance to that center, to the point, is the radius. Well, what we can think about doing is drawing a right triangle. And if we use Pythagorean theorem, we can kind of come up with the equation of a circle. So if we think about the y distance would be y minus k, and the x distance would be x minus h. So those would be our two distances. So if we use Pythagorean theorem, we could say x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. That is the equation of a circle. So we use the distance formula to come up with an equation of a circle. All points on a circle are the same distance, which is called the radius. So this is just a variation of Pythagorean theorem. Now we're going to use that in the next three problems. So if we give you an equation, we say, what's the standard form of an equation with center, -2, 3, and diameter of 8? Well, we can use this formula and say x, because it's all points, minus h, so because 2 is negative, it would be minus minus, so that would become a plus. Y minus 3 squared equals, and on the right-hand side, we need r squared. So in order to have r squared, we'd say the diameter is 8. So then we know the radius is 4. So on the right-hand side, we have 16. Okay? Now, the next two problems are a lot harder, so make sure you pay attention, pause the video, write stuff down, and I want you to try example 3 on your own before you fast forward the video. So example 2 we'll do together. We need to take this general form and make it look like the standard form so we can answer questions about. So example 2, what we want to do first is we want to get x squareds and y squareds on the one side. So we're going to move everything over here. So it's going to be positive x squared now, plus 10x, move the y squared, plus y squared, plus 22y, and I'm going to move the 110 to the right side. So that's negative 110. So basically I flip-flopped sides of the equations, getting x squareds and y's and x's and grouping them together. Notice the x's are here, the y's are here, and getting the constant over on the other side. And you'll see why in a minute. So now I'm going to do a process called completing the square. So complete the square. When I complete the square, I'm basically trying to get a third value that will make this trinomial factor. And the way I do that is I take 10 divided by 2. So I'm going to take 10 divided by 2, and I'm going to square it. So that's 25. And I'm going to add that into the problem. I'm going to do something similar with the y squareds. I'm going to take 22. I'm always taking the b value, 22 divided by 2, and squaring it. So 22 divided by 2 is 11. 11 squared is 121. Now, you'll notice that over on the right-hand side, that should be negative 110 in blue. What I did to the problem was I added in a 25 and I added in 121. But you can't just add things in randomly, to figure out, to keep the equation balanced. So what we do one side, we have to do the other. So we're going to add in 25. We're going to add in 121 to the right side as well. Okay? So now I'm going to try to factor this. If we think about algebra, this should factor to a binomial square. X, we know, goes there, and the square root of 25 is 5. So x plus 5 would be, squared would be the factorization of this trinomial. Over here, I would do y plus 11 squared, because the square root of 121 is 11. So y plus 11 times y plus 11 is this trinomial here. And then on the right side, I'm just going to take out my calculator quickly, and I'm going to add negative 110, 25, and 121, and I get 36. So now if I asked you, what is the center of this circle, think if you could answer it. You would say the center is negative 5, negative 11, and the radius would be the square root of 36, so it would be 6. I'm going to pause the video and try example 3 now, and go ahead and finish it, and then you can start the video again and check with my answer. So I'm going to take you through example 3. So the problem looks like this on your notes. Remember, we want to group the x's and the y's on the left-hand side, and we want to move the constant, which happens to be plus 25, to the right-hand side to get negative 25. Now from that, we're going to take this x squared and 8x. We're going to do the b divided by 2. So we're going to take 8 divided by 2 and square it. So you always take the one with the x divided by 2 and square it. That becomes 16. So we're going to add 16 into the problem on the left side. We're also going to add 16 to the problem on the right side. This one, y squared plus 10y, we're going to take the 10, because that's the one with the y term. We always take the linear term, divided by 2 and square it. So 10 divided by 2 squared is 25. We add it to this side. We also add it to the other side. So it's a coincidence that we have a negative 25 and a positive 25, which works out nicely. We're going to go ahead and factor this. Remember, this always factors to a binomial squared. So it's x plus 4 squared, because the square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5, so this is y plus 5 squared. We simplify over here and we get 16. So if I ask you, what's the center is going to be the opposite of the way it looks. So negative 4, negative 5, and the radius is 4. All right, I hope that helps you. I want you to try your worksheet today, and that's your homework. Good luck.